Hello to all of you beautiful people out there. Regnilla over here, bringing you, well, a Minecraft video. Yes, it has been a while, and unfortunately I've been bogged down with a bunch of other projects and other responsibilities, but I figured with 1.18 coming out with the second part of the Caves and Cliffs update, I figured it might be high time to come back to this series and start finishing some things up. However, instead of the usual live commentary, for the next few episodes I'm thinking about doing some recaps just to go over what I've done and basically the spark notes. In this episode, I'm going to be doing 5 things across a 3-stage process. I'm going to be visiting a desert temple and a jungle pyramid, I'm going to be getting some dogs and a horse, and I'm going to be building a horse stable to prevent the loss of that horse, as opposed to what I did last time and tied the last horse to a fence post where it was murdered by a zombie. I'm still upset about that. But now on to some off-camera stuff. One of the first things I built was a small enchanting room just below my workstation. I also built a couple of water sources for potions, but this kind of needs a redesign because I followed some tutorials and found something better. Normally people just use cauldrons for this kind of thing, however I don't like refilling a cauldron all the time, so I'm just sticking with water sources. And another thing I built was a very large basement underneath the house that is going to house a super smelter among several other projects. Starting off with this video, the first thing I did was I went over to the desert temple by going to a sand village through the warp room. For those just joining us, the warp room only exists to serve as a means of fast traveling, that way I'm not spending an entire episode or a bunch of recording time just traveling. We have not been over to this sand village before, and the temple is not that far away, which weirdly enough, I've noticed a lot of desert temples to be very close to the sand villages. So upon getting over to the desert temple, I lit up the area because I started to get paranoid of just random sounds I was hearing. Minecraft has this weird ability to invoke my paranoia, so as soon as I hear the littlest thing in a dark place, I'm going around with torches throwing them everywhere like Tic Tacs. With everything lit up, I dug down, I removed the pressure plate, took the TNT, and proceeded to loot all the chests. Nothing here was too valuable apart from a few diamonds, but I took what I could, including the chests, which I need since I will be making a ton of hoppers in the future. I also got a couple pieces of horse armor in there, which was nice. I'm still quite salty about losing my diamond horse armor. Oh, and the horse that was wearing it too. After looting the temple and possibly some village pharaoh's body, I returned to the warp room and proceeded to make my way to the jungle pyramid on foot. Along the way, I made a detour to pick up some good boys. They were to join me on my trek to the jungle and fend off some monsters. Or I should say they were supposed to, but somehow I lost them along the way. They didn't die, I literally lost them. I'm a genius. With no backup, I cautiously approached the temple, killing a skeleton inside and quickly lighting the place up, where it was then I realized my dogs had vanished. I disabled the traps, pretty much looted everything in the trap room like a kleptomaniac, including the traps themselves, and then proceeded to try solving the lever puzzle. Most people like to just break through the puzzle, but I like to flex my big noodle and try to solve it myself. Or at least I tried to, since I'm more familiar with the old jungle pyramid designs and didn't know the solution appears on the floor above me. I swear this took me way longer than it should have, and for my trouble I got nothing but goobage in the chest. So I looted everything including the sticky pistons, which were most likely the most valuable thing in the whole building. Along the way home, I got several more dogs and kept a very strict eye on them in case they saw a squirrel or something on the way back. After getting my dogs home, I gathered my saddle and horse armor and went back to the warp room to go to another very far off village to grab a horse. This village is fairly interesting as it bleeds over into a swamp, but there's quite a bit of water and it's a bit too hilly, which does not make it conducive for a raid whatso-freaking-ever. This place is a hot mess. Going beyond the village led me to a herd of horses and a broken nether portal which I had fixed up off camera. And my dumbass got the idea of trying to ride my horse through the portal, which almost got my horse killed. It will not. Maybe I have to be off my horse. No. Okay. Oh, no. 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 Horsey? No. Mr. Ed, don't you die on me. I swear to God. With night approaching, I had to sleep in one of the beds before making my way back home. You may be wondering why I didn't just use the command block warp to go back home. Well, apparently the way it's set up, it only affects me, and not my animals. So I'm forced to make the long trek back home with Mr. Ed. When getting back home, I tied my horse up and began construction on the horse stable. I'm a big fan of the dark oak material, as evident to the massive tree that I will probably never complete. And from here we get into one of my favorite parts when making a video that has a Minecraft build, the time lapse. And well, there we have it. Several key things done in the journey to actually completing this world. There are several more recordings that I have that I still need to turn into videos, and I might keep this sort of post-commentary style when editing them. It really depends on how the initial editing turns out, since I didn't particularly enjoy the commentary when recording this one live. Well, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. If you are interested in any of my other content, be sure to hit on one of the annotations I'll be featured at the end of this video. And as always, I will see you again next time. Take care, people.